Hello, Azure enthusiasts. Today, Microsoft have unveiled the Assistance API as part of expanding collections of OpenAI within Azure. This announcement have been eagerly awaited by developers since it was initially revealed on OpenAI conference last November. In this video, we delve into Assistance API through Azure OpenAI Studio and explore its unique features that distinguish it from other APIs, including chat completions. To begin with, as you are aware, we will need a Azure OpenAI resource. Let's head over to Azure portal to create one. So I'm typing for portal.azure.com and I am searching for okay, searching for Open AI, selecting the service, create. Now I'm selecting one of the resource group that I have, and I'm using the region East US2. Assistance API is only currently available in three regions, that's East US2, Australia East, and Sweden Central. So if you are creating uh, a resource in any other region, it's not currently available. So be aware of that. I'm just putting like test kj. I'm selecting the standard tier. It's not available. So test kj demo. Uh, it's available. So let's create one. Let's wait for it to be created. So the resource was created. Let me go to the resource and let me navigate to the Azure OpenAI Studio. I'm doing this demo using OpenAI Studio. So we are here at OpenAI Studio. This is the place we are currently talking about. That's the new feature, Assistance Playground. You can either click on try it now here, or you can use the left navigation button assistance. So you know it's in preview stage. So the first step for using any playground option here, whether it is chat or chat completions or DAL, we need to create a deployment. So let's head over to creating a deployment. So I'm selecting GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K. I'm just renaming the same as my deployment name. I'm just creating one. So we have created it. So this is the assistant playground screen that we have in the Azure OpenAI portal. We have an option to create new assistant or open existing assistants. I don't have any assistants now. And there are the logs available here. It shows how we can interfere with this assistant using the REST APIs. So here we have list assistance API. You can, it says invalid response, it will be refreshed. So this is the two API details. Okay, let me refresh the page so that it gets the API details. Yeah, it have the details, create thread, it's the response we get. It's a post API. The API documentation is available. I'm just giving you the insights. It's the list assistance API. It's also having the corresponding values, but it's having some issues currently. So let's create a new assistant. It may be because we don't have any assistants. So for creating an assistant, you can click on this new button or just click on, as we don't have anything here, let's put an assistant name. I'm trying to create an assistant which answers the queries related with the United Nations Sustainable Goals. So United Nations. Now I am writing an instruction. You are an AI assistant that help people to find information about United Nations. And I have selected the deployment. Now to answer the queries, I am uploading a file. You can go to upload your local files and click on browse button. Now you can go to, I'm selecting my file. I'm using this SDG resource target and clicking on open. Now let me upload the file. And you can see the file is being uploaded here. Let me click on save. So it's saying some errors is only separated. So I need to enable this to make it save. So these are the options available. I will talk about this functions and code interpreter later. Now I am trying to make it work for just files. That means we ask a question which is inside the file that we have uploaded and it should be answering. So let's go away here. This is the speciality of the assistance API. You can see it is a new thread created and a thread ID. In assistance API, all conversations are considered as threads. A single conversation will be thread. If we want to close a conversation, we will be closing the creating a new thread. So like whenever we start a chat, we'll be creating a thread, and when we are sending a message, we'll be adding messages to the thread. So previously using completions API, chat completions API, we need to give the conversation history also to the API, but in this case we only need to give the thread ID. You can see that in the API documentation. I'm not talking about that now. Just we have created a thread and we have sent a message hi, and it is replied me with a message. So now the next step would be to make it answerable. Like, so let me open the PDF that I have uploaded. This is the PDF that I have uploaded. Like, this is the 2000, what are the 17 sustainable development goals? Let me ask the question. It should be answering. Yeah, it gives an answer with referring to the document that I have uploaded. So it's like just taken the data from the PDF and given the response. In chat completions API or the feature in this playground, we were using Azure Search. This assistant API is not using Azure Search. We are only using assistance API. the only you uh, so it's like we have asked a question, we have get a response. We can ask any question from the PDF and it will be answering. We have tested and experienced it, the same thing in the completions API. So we don't want to uh, test it a lot. Like we can add new files also. We can upload up to 20 files and the maximum size of file will be 512 MB. You can see those features there. The next thing that is special to Assistance API is functions. Before going to that, let me scroll through the things that we have given here. So like this is the API call for creating an assistant. We have created an assistant with name, instructions, model, and file IDs. And the response, you can see it here, and you can see add message. This is the message that I have sent, and this is the response that I've got. Once we add a message, the next step should be to run the message or run the thread so that we get the response. So this is the API code for that, and this is the response. In this response, it will be giving us the answer. And the next thing is get run steps. Here we can see is the run details, or we have the message ID. With this message ID, we'll be getting this message. Now this is the add message, the second message that I have sent to the same thread, and you can see the response that I have got, and you can see it is a run thread option and API call, and it gives us the response, and this is the place where we get the message ID of the recent one. And by calling this API with this message ID, we'll be getting the answer, this answer. So this is how what it happens in the backend. So now let's explore to the functions. So what is functions? If you are familiar with OpenAI or the functions in the chat completions API, the same thing is here. Like if we have to do some actionable items, like we may be in need of creation of a ticket, or it may be something like send an email, or some actionable items should be done. It's technically an API call to some other tool or something, or we need to execute a particular action. So I'm giving an example here to create an ticket. So this chatbot now is going to create a ticket when I ask it through the chat. So let me add a function here. Here you have some examples here how the function should be. This is the same thing like if you have explored OpenAI functions or the chat completions API functions, the same thing is here. So let me copy paste the function definition. This is a simple definition like create ticket, that's a name I have put, and I have put a description like create ticket or support ticket, and I have give some definitions. So you can write your own definition for the action. As it is a create ticket, I have put it like create a ticket. Now next is this what are the parameters to be there for this function to happen or this action to happen. I am putting it like an object. Inside the object, there are two other properties, like one is title and another is content. And this is a string. Content is also a string. Now I have given description about a title of the ticket to be created, and description is the content or body of the ticket. So I'm just writing what these variables or these properties are meant for, and I have made the both the field title and content as required fields. So that's how the function definition is. So I'm clicking on save and I'm saving this one. Now I forgot to tell you about the assistant ID. When we create an assistant by clicking on new, we will be getting our own assistant ID. We will be calling all APIs with this assistant, and assistant will be having its own name and instructions, and also the set of files and functions. So what is an assistant? Assistant will be having assistant name, instructions, the functions, files will be added to the assistant, mapped to the assistant. An assistant can have multiple threads. One thread will be like a one conversation. If two or three users are chatting in parallel, each will be different threads. And if one user clears the chat and start new conversation, it will be a new thread happening there. So this is the thread ID. If I clear the chat, I will be getting a new thread ID. So I'm just putting my hi message and I'm asking the same question that I have asked before. And it should be replying. And I'm also you can see the message reply from ChatGPT. Now I am trying to create a ticket using message. So create a ticket that my laptop stopped working from last Sunday. It can have spelling errors, but you can see that it calls the create ticket function with a title laptop stopped working. So it detects the intent of the user and the different entities. The intent is like to create the ticket. So it identified that, and the different entities needed is like title and content, the properties that we have defined in the function definition. Here we have the rephrased title and the rephrased content. My laptops have stopped working since last Sunday. I tried restarting it multiple. You can edit it, or whatever action we need to perform, we can perform those actions and we can call the particular API. If we have a create ticket API using the functions, we can call this API and get back the response. Maybe something like we have successfully created a ticket with this ticket number or something like that. So that's what is speciality about the functions here. And the next is like code interpreter. It's self-explanatory. When we ask it to create or generate code for us, it's giving us the response with the generated code. You can explore it. So like when I click on open, it's giving the list of assistants here. You can see the assistant ID here and the creation date and instruction we have given. So if you are going to create a new assistant and we need to switch back to the previous one, we can click on this open button. So let's compare it with the chat completions API. In chat completions, we need an Azure search for querying to a database or querying to a file, but here we don't want Azure search. Um, there was no concept of saving conversations, or in each API, while doing the chat completions API, we need to call the function with the conversation history, like what was the context. We need to give the context. Last messages and conversation needs to be appended with the each API call in case of chat completions API. But here we have threads and thread IDs, so the conversation is tagged together by using the conversation ID, that is the thread ID. So I hope you have understood what the assistance API have given to us. So that's it. Thank you for watching.